Wednesday morning. That means it's Picayune Wednesday, and in our studio every Wednesday to tell us about the latest edition of the Picayune, the editor, Daniel Clifton. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, everybody.
He's the one over there moving the microphone around.
Sorry about that. Did that make any noises?
Not be quiet when we start this. You could never be quiet.
Well, you start laughing sometimes. Like, next thing you know, she's laughing.
Were you like that as a child growing
pretty
up?
much.
You just couldn't
I just could sit still. I hated school because I'd like twitch it or something.
I'm the same way. I can't sit still very long.
Did you have the desk that opened? Because you had the, some of the kids got the one to stuff in. I had the open one. I just love that. Stop that.
Well, we're here to talk about this week's edition, which should be on your doorsteps this morning, but if you're not getting your copy, listen at the end of the interview, and we'll tell you how to go about doing that. But on the front page, it says Falls on the Colorado Museum, and they're showcasing a Texas legend. What's that all about?
Well, they're doing a traveling exhibit of Quanah Parker, and he was a Comanche Indian chief. And it's a really interesting story because it goes back back in the day. This is before our time, maybe Ed's time. I don't know.
Watch it now.
That the Comanches would raid and take white kids as prisoners as ransom. They'd ransom off, but apparently they took this one little girl, Kathy Parker. And the chief didn't ransom her, kept her, and she grew up in the Comanche lifestyle. And actually, she became the wife of the chief. They had a child, and that became Quanah Parker. But at one point, Saul Ross, who was a Texas Ranger, became a governor. Right. A little history lesson for you there.
Is there going to be a test after this?
Yeah, I think
I saw that on Texas Rising.
That's right.
Yeah, watch that.
But rescued her, returned her to her family. But Quanah Parker stayed in and became a great Comanche chief, and was one of the ones who kind of led him back into the reservation, realizing that, that it's not. If we keep fighting, we're just going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
And so it's exhibit about his life and her life and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, how
Interesting.
neat.
Yeah, I love reading stuff like that.
It's funny, too. I remember back in the day.
You were there?
No.
Oh, sorry.
I remember when Falls on the Colorado Museum was just an idea that somebody had. And they were like, you know what? For those of you that are native Marble Falls people, if you've got pictures of the town when it was old and all that, and now now they've got exhibits coming in.
Yeah.
And it's just getting bigger and bigger. It's exciting to see.
Okay, you're showing your age now.
I am, definitely. Heck, my hair shows my age. Why not the rest of me?
Also in this week's edition of the Picayune, speaking of history, there's a story about there, and it says Life as an American in Nazi Germany.
Yeah, it's the story about Millie Bauman. She lives up in Bonanza Beach. She's not from here. She was born. Her parents emigrated from Germany in the 1920s, and then Millie was born in the United States. They had got their citizenship, but for some reason, Millie's mom didn't really take to her or whatever, so they sent her to live with her grandparents, who still lived in Berlin, Germany, in 1928.
Wow.
And so her grandparents loved on her and stuff, but at that time, I guess Hitler was coming to power in Nazi Germany, and she had to live through this war. As a child, as a young, and growing up and graduating, going to work as a teenager and as a young adult, and so she found friends. She was interested in doing something. She met a lady, a pen pal, in the early 2000s, and they were corresponding. And this other lady lived in Wisconsin. She'd grown up in Nazi Germany as well. They didn't know each other.
Wow.
And so it's their letters, and so they did a book. So this program will exhibit their letters and how they both, and they ended up living in the same towns in Germany, but never knew each other.
Oh my
Cool
gosh,
stuff.
that's
it's
amazing.
really, and you read some of this, and you see the things she saw. You're like, ooh,
Yeah.
that's just amazing.
Wow. Well, you can read all about it in this week's edition of the Picayune. And another good story, and we talked about this earlier in the week. We had a special guest on our show talking about, but although the cold weather, you didn't feel like it, but it's time to start thinking about spring gardening.
Yeah, the master gardeners are out there, and they're always, I don't think the master gardeners ever stop gardening.
No.
I think if you go in their house, there's no, just gardens and, but, and there's a lot of things you can do, mending the soil and seed catalogs and things like that. So there's a lot of tips and ideas you can do. I'm getting ready
because
it's
your seedlings too. It's time now to plant them so that they'll be ready to.
Apparently, can't just go in the backyard and throw some seeds down and they grow.
Not.
I've tried. It does not work. Even grass doesn't work that way.
Well, you can read all about it in this week's edition of the Picayune, as we said. Should be on your doorsteps this morning, but if you're not getting your copy, tell them how to do that.
Well, you have to call me. Oh, sorry. Caught me off guard. 830, call 830-693-7152. And we'll get you on the list. Wow. Man, maybe I was showing my age.
Front will know a lot more, I promise.
That's right.
Maybe I'm showing my age there.
And as always, remember, the Picayune is
free.
Daniel Clifton, editor of the Picayune. Thanks, buddy.